Hey there, YouTube. I'm going to experiment today. I'll bring you along. If this video turns out to be interesting or helpful or worthwhile, then it'll end up on YouTube. If not, well, you'll never know, will you? So the Briggs engine that's on that one, on that Toro, originally was on this deck, which is a Toro-Bilt. You can see the sign, free, needs transmission. I looked up those transmissions, they're like $150, so I'm not going to bother trying to fix that. So for the moment I took the Briggs engine off of here, put it on here, and I got a great running, mulching, self-propelling Toro. But I'm still curious about that Tecumseh engine. This engine runs fine, but it acts like it has no compression release. Sometimes, especially when it's cold, you pull the rope and it really does not want to come out. I've checked the flywheel key, it's fine. So I wonder if it's the cam gear inside the engine either jumped or is damaged. So I'm going to crack open this engine today. It'll be my first Tecumseh that I've ever opened up. In my stash, right there, I have a spare, pretty much identical Tecumseh engine I yanked off a Toro years ago, kept for parts. It knocks, but I think the cam gear in it is okay because it never had an issue with the compression release. So let's get to it. Here's the bottom of the engine that has the bad cam. I had to get the blade adapter off, and it put up a struggle. It put up a fight. And as you can see there, it's damaged. The keyway side of the blade adapter is broken. So, with the help of some liquid wrench and alcohol, we were able to get that off. Now I'm at the point where I can take the sump off of both engines and have a look inside. Engine on the left is hopefully the good engine with the bad cam. Engine on the right is the one that knocks, that hopefully has a good cam. So let's take a peek inside. Here are the two engines. Nothing really jumps out at me right away, being obviously wrong. I'm going to dig in a little bit closer. The engine on the left, I think you can see that dot. It's lined up where it should be. As is the engine on the right. Here are the two cam gears. The cam lobes themselves don't look worn. I don't think they've shifted out of place, so I'm kind of stumped. I think what I'll do, I'm going to switch out the timing gear and cam gear from the engine that knocked, this one, and put it in my good engine, see if it makes any difference. I have the replacement cam installed and I matched up those marks. And I got kind of fortunate with the sump when I took it off. The gasket pretty much came off in one piece. Since I'm just experimenting with this, I'm gonna put a little gasket maker in some of these places where it may be a little thin, but otherwise I'm gonna go with it the way it is. Sump is back on. I have the engine mounted to my crap deck. Obviously I don't want to reuse this blade adapter that's broken, so I dug out one from my stash from an older Toro, and I found a 20-inch blade that will fit that blade adapter. So at least hopefully I can hear what this thing sounds like. I probably don't even need to start it. I'll just pull the rope and see if it feels any different. I think that's what I'm going to do for starters. Spark plug is in. I have a zip tie tying off the brake. I do not have any oil in this. Actually, I'm going to disconnect the spark plug because I don't want it to start. I'm going to see what it feels like when I pull the rope. Feels the same. It's hydro locked. Well, ain't that a pisser? So I'll go ahead and post this video. I'm curious if anyone out there has ideas. What might be wrong with that Tecumseh? But at least I'm not desperate for it. I'll let my Toro go with the Briggs that's on it. I prefer them anyway. Thought I'd experiment a little bit. I thought maybe it would be the cam and that I would have a good Tecumseh when all was said and done. But that's not the case. I'm kind of stumped. It's not hydro locked. I've replaced the flywheel key already. And the cam was okay. And it's not the broken blade adapter doing anything, because I got a different one of those on now too. So something's amiss. What could it be? Well, hey YouTube. It's many weeks later. And I'm finally going to go back to my Tecumseh engine on the right. It's the one that has way too much compression. This Tecumseh engine on the left is one that I've had that it ran, but it knocked, but it didn't have the compression issue. I could try to, gap the valves on the engine on the right, or I could just try to switch the valves. That's what I'm going to try to do. Switch the valves, take the valves out of the knocking engine, put them in the good running engine, and hopefully that'll solve my compression issue. Sit rep. I don't know if I'm going to go any further. I got the valves out, but the inside of the cylinder is awful on both sides. It's worse on the left. That is... Hear that? That is some rough gouges in that cylinder. So I honestly don't think it's worth me spending any more time trying to save this thing. It could be that so much oil was getting past the rings it was hydrolocking too. It may not be the valves. And unfortunately my Tecumseh that knocks, it's not much better. A little bit, but it's also scratched on both sides. I don't think it's worth me trying to switch out the crankshafts on this thing. Reuse this block. I think they're both junk. Frowny face. So we won't get to hear anything run, but I hope you still enjoyed this episode of You Can't Win 'Em All. So these things will go back in my junk pile. This deck, it's junk too. It's just kind of a stand for me to try to get that engine going, but doesn't matter now. It can all be recycled, I guess. I guess maybe I'll keep the engines for parts, I don't know. Or just yank the coils off. I don't know what else I need. So that'll do it for today. Ladies and gentlemen, you are in luck. You will get to hear something run. May I introduce Toro-Bilt? Just so that you can see that something's going to work today. The Toro-Bilt I found yesterday. The engine was seized. I suspect they ran it and never checked the oil, and then when it seized and locked up, then they added oil. Because the oil in it looks pretty clean. But too little too late for them. I brought this home. I put a little oil in the cylinder. I propped the nose up, the engine cylinder head up. Put oil in it. Turn the blade by hand. Remove the spark plug, obviously. And I was able to free this up. And I checked it today, and it's not smoking. Let me show you. Obviously I'm going to mow with this several times probably to make sure that that engine is okay after being seized. But right now, first impressions are great. I haven't done a thing to it. I haven't checked the spark plug. I did look at the air filter, it looked okay. And I checked the oil obviously. But self-propelled works. I wish I had a bag for it. I don't. But there it is. So I think I will amend the name of this video to You Win Some, You Lose Some. Thanks for watching.